Welcome to Yoga for Athletes. In this session, we'll be focusing on yoga for runners. And even if you're not specifically a runner, the activity or the sport of your choice might involve running, or certainly what we do here might support what you do if there is, just say you play soccer or tennis or skating. I think you'll find value in what we do here. Now, first thing with running, some of the things that we'll address today is tightness in the back of the legs and tightness in the front of the pelvis. The other thing we'll be looking to do is to just bring some awareness and strengthening of our core muscles and opening our chest, because in running we often find our postures kind of more closed in through the front body. So we'll spend some time to open it up in the practice as well. We'll start reclined. As far as props, if you have a couple of blocks, if you have a blanket or a pillow, that might be helpful when we get on our knees as well, just to support your knees. So take, again, some time, find yourself on your back. Now, walk your feet back towards your bum. As runners, your legs are moving into the front plane and back plane of your body. So we'll start with a release here. And when you're reclined, walk your feet back towards your bum as mentioned. Bring the soles of your feet together to touch and let your knees go wide. Now, for some, the knees might go quite close to the ground. For others, they might be lifted quite high away from it. And that's where the blocks can be supportive here. So if you would like to support the weight of your legs, maybe there's a lot of sensation in inner thighs or outer hips, then take the blocks or the books perhaps even, and just wedge them in your upper outer thighs. Now, as mentioned, with runners and your legs going into the front and back plane of your body, we're just taking our knees wider than our hips, because our hips are very much like our shoulders. They're a ball and socket joint, and there's quite a lot of movement available in these joints. But when we only move them in a couple of ways or in a couple of directions, the ability to move in the other ways that your hips are generally able to move sometimes gets just a little bit, let's call it shunted or reduced mobility. So we'll work with that today as well. Take a big in-breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, release. And try to breathe in and out through your nose so you can control the flow of your breathing. Now, one thing as well, throughout the practice, be very aware of how you're breathing. As long as you're certainly breathing, the features of your face are calm, you might be getting encouraged to go deeper into the sensations, but please always ensure that those two qualities are present before trying to go deeper into a pose or a sensation. Long-winded way of saying take care of yourself. Okay, now running is absolutely wonderful for cardiovascular fitness, but from a musculoskeletal perspective, it can over time bring some limitation, some pain or discomfort into the body if we don't stretch it out properly. Now we'll start to do that now. Take your hands to your outer thighs and push your knees back towards each other. You can take the blocks and just push them a little further off the side of your mat. And then walk your feet back towards your bum and start to rock your knees from side to side to help loosen up your low spine. Again, this is an area where there's a lot of compression in your running. And there's more compression if you're running on concrete, a little less compression if you're running on grass or a little softer surface, maybe a track. But nonetheless, there's compression into your lower back. So we'll try to just move our knees in this way just to ease that in a way that your back, your joints in your back are not loaded with weight, loaded with pressure. Now, next time your knees are pointing up towards the ceiling, pull your right knee up into your chest, pull your thigh close to you, and bring your nose up towards your knee. And then flex your toes forward. Pull your toes back towards your shin to lengthen through their calf and Achilles. And then once again, point them forward and pull your toes back. And then move your foot clockwise and counterclockwise. One thing with runners is you always want to take care of your feet as much as you can. Go in the opposite direction, because there is a lot of pressure going through your feet. And if you take care of your feet, then they'll take care of your knees and your hips and the lower back as well. Now from here, lower your shoulders back to your mat if they're lifted. Draw in through your lower belly, extend your leg up towards the ceiling, place your hands just down by your hips. Flex your quad, and you can reduce this range of motion to whatever you can support if needed. Now, this is more for the knee joint, but we are waking up the core here as well. Now your knee joint in full extension brings your heel away from your bum, or you flex your quad, and in full flexion your heel comes close to your bum. So I'd like you to extend your leg forward, again with the support of your low belly for your low back, and then when your heel's almost on the ground, pull your heel back towards your bum, squeeze it there just for a moment, and then extend your leg up, flex your quad so your leg is straight, and then move your heel down. And pull your heel back in, squeeze, and just keep moving in this way. If it's natural for you to couple it with a way you breathe, whether the inhalation or exhalation seems more natural in one part of the circle or versus the other, then you can certainly add that, but just ensure that you're breathing. Now, as mentioned with compression, there's a lot in your knees when you run, the weight of your torso coming down through your hips into your knees. And this is just a way to get full range of motion through your knee joint without it being loaded with that weight. And your knee has a lot of connective tissue in it, ligaments and such, tendons around it. And do this one more time. And then when your foot is close to your left foot, place it down. Bring your right thigh up, bring your hands to your shin, pull your thigh in, and bring your nose up towards your knee. Left. Yeah. Flex your toes forward, pull them back towards your shin, flex them forward, pull them back towards your shin, and then move clockwise and counterclockwise here. It's half a dozen times or so each way. Now I was mentioning about knees, and we'll get into that same motion in this second side, the left side, so lower your shoulders. Bring your hands down, extend your left leg up, flex your quad, just hold here for a moment. Tone through your low belly, again in support of your lower back, and continue to hold that tone throughout the movement. But with the connective tissue, it doesn't get a lot of blood flow, so how it gets the nutrition it needs to stay healthy, the hydration it needs, is through movement. And unloaded movement through a wide range of motion is a great way to do it. So now we'll do that. Circle your leg, just like you're pedaling a big bike, lower your left heel towards your mat. Pull your heel back towards your bum, squeeze it there just for a moment, very intentionally, and then extend your left leg back up, flex your quad, and move in this way. If anybody's recovering from any knee injuries or has a history of chronic knee injuries, this is a wonderful way to keep range of motion, mobility in your knee without risking the knee joint itself, because here again it's not loaded with the weight of your body, and certainly not getting compressed with every stride you take onto the ground. And one final time, full revolution. Extend your leg, lower your heel, squeeze your heel back towards your bum, and then place your foot down. Now we'll roll over to a side, just whatever side, and then push up off the side, come to all fours. Now from all fours, here it might be time well spent if you do have sensitive knees, just to put a blanket or something a little softer underneath your knees just to protect them. But spread your fingertips nice and wide apart and start to move through flexion extension. So exhale to round your back, lengthen down through the tip of your tailbone, breathe in, lower your spine, or lower the middle of your spine, and lift the ends of it. And just continue to move like this. I was mentioning that lower back receives a lot of compression, and it certainly does, but all the way up through the length of your spine, it reverberates. So here, moving in this way just helps to keep the discs in between the bones of your spine, again, hydrated and healthier. And then find the neutral place and draw in through your low belly, extend your right leg back. So we'll move with core strength here. You're welcome to add your arms. You can extend your left arm, but exhale to round your back, pull your thigh back forward, your elbow back. Inhale, extend forward through your fingers, the crown of your head, and back through your heel. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Now keep your leg extended, but lower your hand, your left hand. Hold here. 2 more breaths. Stay toned through your low belly, lifted through your pelvic floor. And we'll stabilize your hips. And then lower your right knee. Shift a little more weight over to your right knee. Extend your left leg. Again, if you added the arm, extend your right arm forward. When you breathe out, come into a little crouch, pull your left thigh forward, right elbow back, breathe in, and extend. Exhale. Exhale. Inhale. And breathe out. Breathe in. Now keep your leg extended, but lower your hand. 2 more long, slow breaths here. Let's stay connected to the lower part of your belly and through your pelvic floor. As we know, we don't just run with our legs, we run with our whole body. If you're running effectively and efficiently, lower your left knee. Now keep your toes tucked. It'll just help to open the arches of our feet a little here. Walk your hands back. So you're putting a little more pressure into your toes. Push your hands forward into your mat. You might be able to feel this into the arches of your feet or into your toes. And very important to keep your feet healthy. And again, you can lighten up the pressure or put more pressure in, whatever you feel is appropriate here. Now, if your ankles have gotten quite wide, hug your inner ankles towards each other a little bit more here as well. The tension can even wrap around into your Achilles and calf. And come back to all fours just for a moment and step your left foot forward. So here we'll move in and out of this pose, these 2 poses a couple times, and then we'll hold. Now just before we do that, as I mentioned, there's going to be some pressure in your back knee. If that is just not healthy for your knee in any way, shape, or form, just take either the blanket, put it underneath your knee, or you can even take a block and put it underneath the top of your shin, so your knee is actually floating off the ground and not in contact with anything. Now keep your hands on your blocks. I'd like you to sink your hips forward, and when they come forward, lift your chest, and to a small degree your chin as well. Don't throw your head back, please. On your exhalation, push your left foot into the ground, shift your hips back, lift your left toes, bring tension into the back of your leg. Breathe in to come forward. And breathe out. Inhale. This time when you come forward, keep yourself in their lunge. And whether you tuck or untuck your toes, personal preference here. You might want to untuck them since we've had them tucked for a long time so far. Now, you can keep your hands on your blocks for stability, or again, since the running motion often brings our shoulders forward, take your hands behind you. You can just keep them parted or interlace your fingers if it feels okay for your shoulders. Now, push your knuckles towards your right heel. Lift up through your chest. And start to draw in through your low belly. So you feel the points of your hips, the front points of your hips are moving, not a lot, but a little bit back. And this will bring more tension into the muscles in the front of your pelvis. And muscles that are used, even overused, in a lot of cases in sports. Okay, release. Place your hands back to your blocks. Walk your hands just halfway towards your right knee and lift your left toes. I'd like you to keep a bend in your left knee here. And first we're gonna activate this muscle. So push, or these muscles. Push down through your left heel. And you can even take your hand off your block for a moment, just make sure there's some contraction, some firmness in these muscles. Just 2 more breaths. Keep pushing, keep pushing. And then walk your hands a little further back before the bend comes out of your knee, but then shift your hips back, maybe even walk your right knee a little further back so you can lengthen out your left leg. Again, flex at your ankle so your toes are pointing up. Breathe in to find a little space away from your left thigh, and as you breathe out, pull your outer left hip back and try to move your chest forward. Down is not needed here. Please try not to put your forehead on your knee. That'll really round your spine unnecessarily. The focus here is tension in the back of the leg. Now walk your hands forward. You might have to inch your right knee a little further forward. Now move your left hand to the inside of your foot. Walk your foot a little wider. Now here you can bring in movement. Movement keeps the body healthy. Or you can be still if you'd prefer. And if you do end up going to the outer edge of your foot like I have, lift your toes again so your ankle and your knee are both stable. Okay. If you have your forearms closer to the ground, come back onto your hands. Wiggle your left foot loose. Take your knee back. Now here, there's two options. I'll go to child's pose, Karen will go to downward facing dog. Now in child's pose, there's more ability to release your lower back. So you take your knees a little further towards the edges of your mat, your toes behind you to touch. And from here, walk your hands forward. You can come onto your forearms. For some, you can lengthen out a little bit more and come onto your forehead. So whatever works for you, and really try to breathe space in child's pose into your lower back. Now in downward facing dog that Karen's in, there's obviously a lot more tension that comes down the back of your legs. Feel free to bend your knees, because if you have straight legs and really a lot of tightness in the back of your legs, and your pelvis is tilted back, that might be a lot of stress for your lower back. So feel free to bend your knees quite deeply so you feel that the hinge is at your hips. Okay. Now if you're in downward facing dog, lower your knees softly. Come up to all fours. And step your right foot forward. When your right foot comes forward, once again, find your blocks. And we'll move in and out of these two shapes a couple of times here. So when you breathe in, allow your hips to sink forward, lift your chest, again, a little bit your chin. On your exhalation, push into your right foot, shift your hips back and lift your toes. Inhale. And exhale. Breathe in. And out. And so the next time we breathe in, stay in your lunge. Pull back through your right foot so your pelvis is stable and moving, kind of energetically feels as though it's moving down. Lift up through your chest. If you did on the last side and it felt good for you, safe for you to do it, same thing on this side. Interlace your fingers or just keep your hands parted, but reach firmly back towards your back heel. Now maintain that pull with your right foot, but draw in through your low belly. So again, you feel a little bit of a tilt back of your pelvis. It won't be much, but it'll be enough so there's more tension that comes in the front of your thigh on the left side. Remember again to keep the features of your face soft and your breath flowing. I find when I dig a little more deeply into the muscles in the front of my pelvis, sometimes I can touch my teeth or my jaw. Okay, part your hands. Take them onto your blocks. Just walk your hands halfway towards your left knee. Lift your right toes. And now push firmly into your right heel. The muscles in the back of your right leg are active. So if you've been to a physiotherapist, for example, and they've said the word proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, that's kind of what we're doing here. We're activating the muscle that we intend to stretch right after the activation. Okay. Now release the intentional pressure from your right heel. Start to lengthen your leg. Again, you may have to walk your left knee just a tiny bit back. Breathe in to create space away from your right thigh. In that space, pull your outer right hip back, move your chest forward. And down. And we'll take a couple slow breaths here. Okay, walk your hands forward. You have to bring your left knee a little further forward up your mat. Move your right hand to the inside of your foot, walk your foot a little wider. Just take a note, I should have mentioned this on the other side, but the angle of your thigh bone has changed. Match the top of your foot with the angle of your thigh bone so your knee stays in safe space. If you did on the last side and enjoyed a little bit of movement to accompany this shape, you're welcome to rock your hips a little from side to side. You have your forearms closer to the ground, come onto your hands. Wiggle your right foot loose until you can take your right knee back. And then we'll move onto our back once again. So we'll roll onto a hip, sweep your feet around. Move your bum about the middle of your mat. And then slowly recline all the way onto the ground here. And when you are grounded, continue to walk your feet a little closer towards your bum and extend your left leg up towards the ceiling, and then rotate from your thigh bone, rotate towards so your toes point towards the left. Then bend your knee and cross your foot over to your right thigh. Here, place your left hand on your inner thigh, even a little closer towards your pelvis, and then give a firm push. So flexion through your left toes, but give a firm push in the top of your thigh bone on the left side. Again, it's an area that gets really compressed. Every running stride that you take gets your thigh bone pushed a little bit more firmly into your hip socket. So we're just trying to create a space in that area, or the feeling of space. Again, a lot of pressure there. 2 more breaths. And release, lower your left foot. Extend your right leg up towards the ceiling. Turn once again from your thigh bone, so this action happens from your thigh bone. Turn so your right toes point to the right, then cross your foot over to your left thigh. Flex your right ankle. Place your right hand closer towards the crease of your pelvis, so up your thigh bone. Again, give a firm push there. Now, if you do happen to have really open hips and you run out of the length of arm, you can always put a block or something to, probably a block or a book or something to get a little more arm length if that's needed. And last time to breathe out. Push a little more firmly, and then release the pressure, lower your right foot. And extend your left leg towards the top left corner of your mat, your right foot towards the top right corner of your mat. And just a few moments here, just in this kind of neutral place for your body to breathe. And just let your body start to absorb the benefit of your practice, your efforts. I think all bodies would benefit a little bit more from a relaxation practice. So if you do have that time, certainly I encourage you to take it. But we'll come off our backs now over to the right side. So shift your bum over to the left, just turn onto your right side, push away from the ground, and then come up to your seat. Thank you very much for taking the time to practice yoga for runners. I'm sure there'll be more iterations as there's lots more to do for runners and for all athletes, but I do appreciate you taking this time. Thank you so much.